Did you know that one of the most remarkable figures in the Bible went from being a slave to becoming the governor of one of the most powerful nations of the ancient world? Today, we're not just going to explore the life of Joseph of Egypt. We're also going to uncover how his story ended. You may know him as a young man who wore the colorful robe given to him by his father, or as the great dream interpreter who changed the fate of an empire. But have you ever stopped to think about how his story concluded? What happened in his final years? And why is his death still relevant thousands of years later? Joseph was not just a lucky man or a skilled crisis manager. His life was a testament to God's faithfulness and to how even the worst moments can be transformed into divine opportunities. So, get ready to embark on a journey filled with faith, promises, and a legacy that still resonates today. Joseph's story begins in the book of Genesis, where he is introduced as a beloved son of Jacob and Rachel. From a young age, he stood out among his brothers, not just because of the special robe his father gave him, but also because of his prophetic dreams that hinted at a great future. However, Jacob's favoritism toward Joseph stirred jealousy and resentment among his brothers. To them, he wasn't just a favored son, he was a rival. The breaking point came when Joseph shared his dreams with his family, suggesting that one day his brothers, and even his parents, would bow before him. For his brothers, this was the last straw. Driven by envy and the desire to get rid of him, they plotted to kill Joseph, but instead, they ended up selling him as a slave to a caravan of Ishmaelites heading to Egypt. To cover up their crime, they dipped his robe in animal blood and told their father that a wild beast had devoured him. Joseph's life, which had once seemed so promising, was turned upside down. He went from being a beloved son to a slave in a foreign land. But this wouldn't be the last twist in his journey. In Egypt, Joseph was bought by Potiphar, an officer pharaoh. Even as a slave, his intelligence and integrity earned him his master's trust. But things didn't remain easy. Potiphar's wife tried to seduce him, and when he rejected her, she falsely accused him, leading to his imprisonment. Once again, it seemed like Joseph had lost everything. Yet, even in prison, he never lost his faith in God. He interpreted the dreams of two fellow prisoners, a baker and Pharaoh's cupbearer. His interpretations proved accurate, and years later, when Pharaoh had troubling dreams that no one could decipher, the cupbearer finally remembered Joseph. Summoned before Pharaoh, Joseph revealed that his dreams foretold 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of famine. He didn't just interpret the dreams. He also presented a strategy to save Egypt from disaster. Impressed, Pharaoh appointed Joseph as his second-in-command, making him the governor of Egypt. He had risen from a slave to the leader of one of the world's greatest civilizations. During the years of famine, Joseph's brothers traveled to Egypt seeking food. Without realizing it, they bowed before the very brother they had once sold, just as Joseph's dreams had foretold. After testing their character, Joseph revealed his identity in an emotional moment of reconciliation. He brought his entire family to Egypt, where they lived under his protection and thrived. Joseph lived to be 110 years old, witnessing his children and grandchildren grow, remaining an influential figure in Egypt. Yet, despite living in a foreign land, he never forgot God's promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Before his death, he made one crucial request. When God comes to your aid and leads you back to the promised land, take my bones with you. Genesis 50 verse 25. Why was this so important? Joseph knew that Egypt was not the final destination for God's people. He wanted to ensure that even after his death, his body would rest in the promised land. His faith was not in Egypt. It was in God's promises. After his death, Joseph was embalmed and placed in a sarcophagus in Egypt. But his story didn't end there. Centuries later, when Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, he carried Joseph's bones with him. They transported his remains through the wilderness for 40 years until, under Joshua's leadership, Joseph was finally buried in Canaan. This act symbolized more than just fulfilling a request. It was a testimony to God's faithfulness, a reminder that no matter how much time passed, his promises always came true. The life and death of Joseph teach us profound lessons. 1. Faith in the face of adversity. He never stopped trusting God, even in the most difficult trials. 2. Forgiveness and reconciliation. Instead of seeking revenge, he chose to restore relationships. 3. a vision beyond the present. Joseph lived knowing that his future was in God's hands, not in his immediate circumstances. But perhaps the greatest lesson is about the impact of a legacy. Joseph wasn't just remembered for his leadership in Egypt or his intelligence. He was remembered for his faith, a faith that influenced generations. And that brings us to a personal reflection. What will our legacy be? What are we building today that will remain even after we're gone? Are we leaving behind a legacy of faith, love, and obedience to God? Just as Joseph trusted in God's promises, may we also live in a way that impacts future generations. If you found Joseph's story as fascinating as I did, don't forget to like this video. Let me know in the comments, which part of his journey impacted you the most? Share this content with your friends so more people can discover the incredible lessons the Bible has for us. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories about biblical characters and the hidden lessons within their journeys. Together, let's keep exploring these timeless stories.